We're waiting to see that 5-second board. There it is. Take your eyes down to that gate. All right, now let's see who has got that good jump out of the gate. It looks like, what do we got? Dean Ferris, number 111 on the Yamaha. He has been a force to be reckoned with so far. Brendan Harrison is in the middle of the pack, or shall we say the back of the pack. He has got a huge amount of time to make up. Kristy Gillespie, our only female rider, has gone down in that first turn, but it's Dean Ferris, number 111 on the Yamaha. He is closely followed by Todd Waters, number 47 on that KTM machine. And Kieran Tisdale rounding out the top three. Young Victorian Tyson Hauser, number 152. Kid with a big future. Well, Danningham has put the Mozza on Lawson bopping, and he has gone down.
Hang on, I did not put it on him. He has had a lot of trouble earlier on, but this is just the first corner pile-up. There's not a lot you can do in these situations. That's bad luck for Lawson for sure, but as I said, he's very fast. Hopefully we might be able to see him back out there in the second moto. Well, he's not even trying to start that bike. Let's hope that's mechanical and not injury right there. He has clearly let the pack go. He's not trying to push the bike off the track enough, and he's just sitting there. So let's hope he's okay. But try to take our focus back to the head of the pack as we wait for them to come out of sight. And no doubt, I'm sure it will continue to be Dean Ferris on that 111 machine, ahead of Todd Waters, 47 on the KTM.
Yeah, look, Dean Ferris has been riding very fast all year long, and it's great to see him out there with a great start. He usually does get good starts. It does look like the KTM of Todd Waters back here in second. Possibly there's a pass just put on there by a Yamaha rider. Not sure who that is. It could have been Tisdale that's back there in fourth place.
Yeah, it looks like Kieran Tisdale actually come up very short on that tabletop and relegated himself back a position. But as we try to pick up these guys as they come through, definitely Dean Ferris is hooking through these corners. He's got himself a handy little 1 second gap there now over Todd Waters.
Well, 153 of Matt Ryan is our guy who's in third now, and he had a great showing at the last round of Newcastle. I can see here's number 56, Kurt Gibbs, so he's got a reasonable start also. You can see the dirty jersey on him from the crash earlier on in the day, but he's now currently sitting in 6th place.
It will be definitely interesting to see how Kirk Gibbs progresses and starts to make his way up through the pack. Kirk is such a fighter, but we'll have to wait and see if he's done himself any mischief or any, shall we say, injuries with that horrendous crashing time qualifying.
One of our favourites, as we mentioned earlier, Brendan Harrison is back in 11th place, so he's a long way back off our leaders. We know he has the pace and the stamina to go the whole race, so he should be able to move forward as much as he can by the end.
How impressive was Brendan Harrison in those last laps of the second moto up at Newcastle, Hammy? Remember how much the charge he put on, really everyone. He is without a doubt the fittest rider in this field.
Yeah, but as saying that, we've seen Dean Ferris, it looked like he struggled in the first couple of rounds of this series. He has also picked up his fitness an enormous amount, and I'd say he'll be able to push it all the way to the end as well.
You see Gary Morrow down here having a little bit of a look around, taking some pictures. Of course, Gary Morrow from Full Noise. That's pretty much our most downloaded motocross webpage in the country, so be sure to check that out. Let's have a look back there, and it's starting to close up a little bit at the head of the pack. Dean Ferris has got company. Todd Waters is coming.
Todd Waters has been very strong. Again, another rider that's been up there in all the other rounds, and as you say, he has closed up an enormous amount of ground. But have a look at the lead these guys have over the rest of the field. I don't know where the speed is coming from these guys, but they are showing some great form. Matty Ryan still sits in third, then Tisdale. Then Harrison is starting to come through quite a bit. There is Kirk Gibbs. He's now up in the 5th place.
Well, Brendan Harrison is reeling in everyone except for our first two place getters at the moment, hand over fist. It would be very interesting to get a split time and see just how he is going compared to Dean Ferris and Todd Waters.
We'll take our eyes back to the leaders, Lee Hogan. It's really close now between Dean Ferris and Waters. As he makes a pass, sorry, just going back a little bit further. The guys up the top wouldn't have seen that, but Harrison puts a very forceful move on that rider. I'm not quite sure who it was, but he makes up another spot. But back to our leaders, these guys are really close now. Any kind of mistake out of these guys, and it's going to be a pass straight away. And on this type of track, the mistake is quite easy.
That far side of the circuit where I guess the riders go out of sight for a little bit is extremely fast down to a tight corner, and then coming back down here to that big tabletop where we've seen some massive moments so far.
Yeah, well, that's also down there is where the woods are too, where a couple of riders have got caught out earlier on. They were getting quite rough. A lot of big holes developing into as well, but these guys seem to be getting around, no worries at all, as we go back with our leaders again as they come into sight, and it's very close. There's only about 4 or 5 bike lengths between these two guys as they come around to complete another lap.
Watching these two riders, Handy, Todd Waters looks to be up on the pegs a lot more. Now, when the track starts to get rougher, that's going to play into his hands, saving energy and a lot safer, obviously.
He does. He looks a little bit smoother at the moment than our leader, Dean Ferris, but, you know, Ferris is doing very well. He's the guy that's under all the pressure. Waters is the one making all the pressure for him.
Great pass from Brendan Harrison up the inside as he relegates another rider.
Tisdale's gone down. Harrison makes the pass, as we also mentioned. So Harrison up one more. Tisdale falls down with a little crash and has lost 4 places.
Well, it's clear sailing now from Brendan Harrison up to the next place. It's probably about 5 seconds, but it is a long way, Hammy, up to those first 2 place getters. With the pace they've got at the moment, he's going to have to do something pretty special in the last half of the race.
Well, I can't believe the kind of speed these guys are showing. They're really moving at the moment. They're only 2 seconds off our... qualifying, Jake Moss in the Pro Open class, just to give you some kind of idea as to how fast these guys actually, when you look down at the pace they're doing at the moment, they would have qualified 6th in the Pro Lights class.
That's an awesome pace from these guys. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's not forget, slightly shorter length races. We're seeing 20 minutes plus a lap for these guys, and I guess you could probably understand the extra intensity at the early stages of this event, being that they only have 20 minutes plus 1 lap. I say only, it's still a damn long time.
It's a very long time for these guys to go out there. And we have a look at our leader. We've lost Dean Ferris. We've had a crash somewhere down the back, and Todd Waters now has the lead on bike 47.
And a massive lead at that. He's got a good 10 seconds back to Dean Ferris, 111 on that Yamaha. As we said earlier, it looked like Dean was doing it a little bit tougher than Todd. Maybe he was riding over his head just a little bit.
Well, Matty Ryan still holds down 3rd place and Kirk Gibbs in 4th. The bike 21 is behind them, who is also doing a great run at the moment. Jess Peach, he qualified terribly, actually. 22nd he qualified.
Jesse Pake, yeah, local South Australian rider.
Yeah, so, I mean, it doesn't always mean if you don't qualify the best. I know myself, I've never qualified any good. You know, in the race, it all comes down to how good you can ride the track lap after lap after lap, not just one fast lap.
Well, that's right, Hammy, and also it's interesting to note that Kirk Gibbs is reeling in Matt Ryan, but Brendan Harrison is reeling in Kirk Gibbs. There's all kinds of stuff going on out there on the racetrack, but it's all shaping up for a good battle in a few laps.
You don't see these in Australia too much crossing the start line. It makes it very interesting for the track design. It's been a great effort by the club to put in this new track, and it's developed into quite an indie.
Well, is it possible, Hammy, that Dean Ferris just went out too hard, got a bit of arm pump on a track like this that's producing such little kicker bumps going into the corners, and he's just struggling to hold on at the moment. He's got and what makes it worse is he's getting reeled in by 3rd and 4th.
Exactly, and it's as you said, one of these tracks that really can develop into a lot of arm pump. You go out there and don't find a rhythm early, you're definitely going to get it. Now, as you said, 3rd and 4th have closed right in on them too, and then also back behind them, Brendan Harrison is still closing that gap. We got word, 23 seconds is the lead at the moment for Todd Waters.
Right, as we just approach the halfway point, we are pretty much right on halfway. She's 11 minutes done in this race, and we're looking at 20 minutes plus 1 lap. So still plenty of time for lots of stuff to happen. Let's see if Todd Waters continues to ride the way he has. He does not need to keep charging this hard, but that is a good test to a sensational rider, is to see if they race the clock, race themselves, get their mechanic to put the pit board out, and just keep continuously pumping out fast laps after another.
Well, Todd Waters' fastest lap only came a lap or two ago, so he's really still pushing. As you said, he does not need to. This guy is that far in front. He could take a break, have a coffee at one of the stands, and still be in the lead.
Now, there is Brendan Harrison on bike 15 now. Has closed right in to about 2 seconds behind.
Yeah, well, one thing we know is that Brendan Harrison is possibly even faster in the last half of the race. His last lap will quite possibly be his fastest lap. So I dare say that we will see him maybe in second place by the end of this race.
There is a very good chance for that. I just noticed Matty Ryan already looking back over his shoulder. He had felt a lot of pressure coming from Kirk Gibbs in there behind him. Kirk Gibbs actually made a small mistake here, which has allowed Harrison to close on the back wheel again. So, these three guys are going to go back and forth, I think, for the next couple of laps.
Else seems to do and charge all the way into the corner and break at the last minute.
Well, unfortunately, we can't see down the back, but I saw Brendan Harrison do an absolutely enormous jump off that little single down there. It was right up beside Kirk Gibbs as he landed, so it'll be interesting to see when they come back into view as to how close these two are. These guys are really going for it, and now Brendan Harrison's made the pass and looks to the inside of Matty Ryan as well over this tabletop.
Well, how is that? Matt Ryan just holds it on, but Brendan Harrison up the inside will make the pass in this corner.
Well, that was a very brave move on a very fast corner here by Brendan Harrison. Actually almost hit the back wheel as they went in there, but set himself up for the next corner beautifully.
And Kirk Gibbs is going white line.
Well, Gibbs has been working on Matt Ryan for the last 3 laps and hasn't found a way around him. He keeps trying different lines and making mistakes. And now Harrison just around him, as he said, in 2 corners.
Well, that was nice, smart riding there from Brendan Harrison as he threads the needle through a lap rider, clears his vision, and he has got a lot of space until he has to come across the next lap rider. So he'll be definitely trying to charge now after Dean Ferris.
He has
realised when you're coming around a lap riders, it's if you're in first place, it's not a good thing. They don't realise they're about to be put a lap down until the first place rider comes along.
So it is a hard thing for the lead rider, but lucky enough that he does have that kind of a lead. Go back to our second place now. Here's Dean Ferris coming over the finish line, and in this lap alone, Brendan Harrison has to have closed 3 seconds. I'd love to see the last 2 lap times between these guys. Obviously, Brendan Harrison will be in second in a couple of laps.
Well, we'd all love to get a whole shot and check out and win by a long way, as we've seen Brendan Harrison do many times this year. But it's times like this when you get a bad start and you have to come through the pack. It's the hard yards, the getting up early in the morning, the training, all the stuff that all the other guys neglect. They don't do quite as hard as what Brendan obviously is doing. It pays off to put the effort in.
And it hasn't been just today. He doesn't always get the whole shot. He really has had to work a lot of times to get those race wins or places that he's got in the previous round.
Well, he just railed that top sandy corner. Looked a little bit like Reardon in the Pro Open, and he reeled in Ferris over a second on that one corner. Danny Ham, you wait to see them pop out this other side here over the tabletop. He will be all over the back of Dean Ferris.
Lee Hogan, I'm very excited. I can't wait to see how this is going to develop over the next couple of laps.
There is a yellow flag down over there. It looks like Joey Ringwood having another crash. He was down in the first corner, unfortunate for him.
Here it comes. Oh, he just jumped straight over the top of a lap rider, yeah.
That's a little bit of a scary jump too. I don't know if you've been down there, Lee, but there is a lot of bumps coming up to it. The face of the tabletop is an absolute mess at the moment. Same with this finish line tabletop, and it is a bit scary coming up on a lap rider doing something like that.
Right, here comes our second and third place riders about to put another lap down, and there's still a good second gap between these 2 riders. Now, Dean Ferris looks like he may have responded just a little bit. Have a look at the gap that they are starting to pull back now on Todd Waters, definitely.
Yeah, they have been closing in, but as we mentioned a second ago, the leader coming around the lap riders is always going to be difficult, and they're going to hold him up a little bit. At least now, the rest of the field knows the lappers are coming through. By the time Ferris and Harrison Harrison come through, they realise they're about to get lapped. Some of them might move over, some might not, but it's just a little advantage that they get.
We'll go over to the tabletop, Lee. It does appear that Harrison might have got around Dean Ferris somewhere down the back through that blue section. Maybe a few of the lapped riders have played into this, so Harrison has moved himself up into second place. Unfortunately for us, we can't see that.
They are reaching for the last lap board now, Hammy. So Todd Waters has Todd Waters just made it through without the last lap board, so it will not go out this lap for the guys. Brendan Harrison, what a job he has done to come from as far back as he has. Barring a crash from Todd Waters, he really...
But at the same time, Todd Waters' psychological, he is that much of a lead, he is that much faster than everyone else. You know, he has got such a lead, he can do what he wants out there, he really doesn't have to push it anymore, he just ride out the rest of this race.
Well, how about this? Think of the showdown for Moto 2. We've had Todd Waters. Imagine if these two guys get a good start. We are in for a race.
Yeah, we have seen some great battles in this class all year long, and it definitely develops into some exciting racing, and hopefully in Moto 2 we'll see all these guys, Kurt Gibbs, get a good start with Brendan Harrison, Dean Ferris, and Todd Waters. All of them get a good start. We're in for a great race.
Well, no doubt when the boys come around this time, we will see the last lap board, and that will go to Todd Waters. Barring any mistakes, with how smooth and cruisy he's riding at the moment, you would have to say that's a foregone conclusion. But Brendan Harrison has not slowed down at all. He has got a point to prove, and he wants to try to catch up as much as he can.
Well, here comes our leaders now. Todd Waters will come around and get the last lap board, but you're right, Brendan Harrison has closed that gap. There is no way, though, he's going to be able to make the distance. It's still a good 12 seconds in it, I would think, between the KTM rider and the Yamaha rider. But here's second place, Brendan Harrison, looking very smooth, picking up the lines early. Dean Ferris has also done very well. Ferris really hasn't dropped off the back of Harrison too much at all.
Well, Brendan Harrison must have pulled in at least 2 seconds that last lap on Todd Waters. Now, I know Todd would be toning it down a bit, 1 lap to go, but let's just see how much Brendan can pull in this last lap. Brendan Harrison does not want to crash and go down. Might find it hard to start the Yamaha and relegate himself a position. He needs to be smart. He is the championship leader. As the riders make their way through the backside of the circuit, just half a lap to go now for Todd Waters to claim this Moto 1 in the under-19s here at Murray Bridge.
Just looking over that tabletop once again, it is a very scary sight to see these guys come over trying to get past the lappers that are jumping that tabletop. It's very close to being landed on a few of these guys, so it's a great spot to go and watch from. Try and pick up our leader of Todd Waters, still making his way through a lot of these lap riders. I think he's coming across the start line now, a little bit of a wheelie, so he knows he's got this one in the bag. A little bit slower over these last couple of laps, able to conserve a little bit of energy though into Moto number 2, which is going to be very vital if he has to put up some kind of battle against Brendan Harrison. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, our winner for Moto number 1, the under-19s, Todd Waters on the KTM. Second place in this moto, and an absolutely brilliant ride by the Serco Yamaha rider, bike 15, Brendan Harrison. And third, after a great start, a little bit of problems early on in the race. Cross down to Lee Hogan, who has Todd Waters our winner for Moto number 1. As soon as it quiets down a bit and Todd gets his helmet off, Lee Hogan will have a chat to him and see what he thought. Lee Hogan.
Thanks, Hammy. Congratulations, mate. What a sensational ride. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Moto 1 winner of the under-19s, Todd Waters. Todd, good job, mate. You checked out from those guys. You just took off. You were gone.
Yeah, you know, I just rode smooth and smart, and Dad was just telling me to use my head, and without those guys, Mum and Dad and the Motox KTM team, they've been awesome. I'd just like to thank Bernie and Joel from Scott's Goggles and the Liat blokes and just everyone who helped me out. Thanks.
Your bike looked like it was working awesome out there, mate. Now, it's shaping up to be a bit of a showdown, the second moto, with your speed and how you checked out over everyone, and Brendan Harrison coming through the pack the way he did. You're looking forward to Moto 2?
Oh, for sure, I can't wait, and Brendan, he's riding awesome, so's the...
Brendan Harrison and Todd Waters were the fastest out last time. Lawson Bobbing went down in the second corner. Let's see what happens this time. We're underway with moto number 2. And Todd Waters with a great start again. Dean Ferris also is up there. As we look back for Brendan Harrison. Oh, 2 riders going down in a big way. But it's Todd Waters and Dean Ferris, Matty Ryan, and there is Harrison back there in 4th, now up into 3rd place. Lawson Bobbing has got through okay, as too as Kurt Gibbs. But it's Todd Waters who's going to set out straight away once again in the lead in moto number 2. We look back a little bit further at the rest of the field. Disdale has had a bad start this time around. One of our riders that went down is up and running again, so good to see he is okay. We've got some people checking over the other one. But bike 47, Todd Waters, the KTM rider, out in the lead and starting to pull away already only after 3 or 4 corners. It's exactly what he needs to do. Dean Ferris on 111 still runs in 2nd place. Harrison in 3rd. As they go through the center section of the track. The track's very different this time around compared to their first race. A lot of new holes, big bumps out there. As they head down to the bottom section, out of sight of our control tower, all the riders getting through cleanly at the moment. We'll have to wait for them to come back into view. Todd Waters still leads the way in front of Dean Ferris. Harrison is now in 3rd place. So we've lost one rider that was up there. There's a Kawasaki back there in 4th place. I'll have to pick up that number as they get a bit closer. Matty Ryan was the guy that was in 4th place. He might have now dropped a position. As we look across the start line, Lawson Bobbing is back there in 7th at the moment. And here's our leader, Todd Waters. There is Matty Ryan now starting to come back from that little incident he had. 721. Andrew Reardon was the other guy that was up there on the Kawasaki. He's back there in 5th. Lawson Bobbing now starting to make a charge. Joey Ringwood also is there on the KTM. There is Kurt Gibbs, bike 25, Matt Howe. He's in behind them. But check out the speed of Todd Waters. He is starting to open up that lead even more as they go around. He'd have to have made a 2 to 2 seconds this lap alone. If Brendan Harrison is going to do anything to run up there in the pace of the front runner this time around, he has got a lot of work ahead of him. Matty Ryan is starting to pull away from Andrew Reardon. Reardon has got a lot of pressure on him from Joey Ringwood as they go up the top section. It appears Harrison might have some kind of problem. He took his foot off through one of these corners a little earlier, maybe twisted a knee or an ankle or something like that, but he has definitely lost some pace. From 2nd place, Dean Ferris. As our riders head back over the back section and come over the tabletop, Todd Waters still leads the way on the KTM. Dean Ferris now is cleared out from Brendan Harrison. Harrison you cannot count out though. We know he will charge all the way to the end. These 3 riders have made a huge ground over our 4th place rider of Matty Ryan. Andrew Reardon, Lawson Bobbing has now come through, and Kurt Gibbs makes a little move on Joey Ringwood, so he has moved up another place. as they go across the start line. Still Reardon in front of Lawson. Bobbing had a great run till he hit some huge holes down there. And have a look at Lawson bobbing around the outside. Has made the pass on Reardon. Here comes Kirk Gibbs around the outside of Reardon. It's a long way around, but he's got it inside for the next corner and makes the pass as well. Bobbing off the side of the tabletop as they come over. There is bike 61, Cody Wheeler. We've seen some great results out of him in previous rounds. Now Lawson bobbing, starting to move forwards onto the back of Matty Ryan. Kirk Gibbs is behind him. Reardon now has some pressure on him for Joey Ringwood. They head up to. We know how fast he is, especially on Supercross. He has great technique. His awesome speed. He just got to put it all together and stay upright all day long. So fourth place is now where the battle is between Matty Ryan and Kirk Gibbs. Here's our leaders coming past our control tower. Todd Waters, Dean Ferris, Brendan Harrison. Fourth place, Matty Ryan now coming to the finish line. Kirk Gibbs behind him. Joey Ringwood has got himself around Andrew Reardon. So he too is having a great run here. Behind them, Cody Wheeler. There's Lawson bobbing after doing all the hard work and moving forward. Has to do it all over again. Bike 25 of Matt Hare in behind them and the rest of the field as they funnel themselves over this finish line. Fourth place is where the battle is though. Matty Ryan and Kirk Gibbs. Gibbs using some different lines around the outside. He's trying everything he can at the moment.
Alright, Denningham, it's great to have my feet back on the ground, I'll tell you that much. Just got back from the helicopter ride and that is a buzz. I was hoping to do a bit of commentary while I was up there, but I couldn't really get any words out.
You got to stop being so nervous, Lee. Just call it as you see it, mate. But have a look at
like heights.
have a look at this race that's developed here. We've got once again Todd Waters is cleared out. Brendan Harrison was on a charge, but something happened earlier on. We're not too sure, and he has dropped off the back of Dean Ferris. I'll tell you what, Ferris is riding a great pace this race. He's moved. I think he's moving closer to our lead rider of Todd Waters. Back in fourth place we have Kirk Gibbs, who has now made the pass too on Matty Ryan, and Lawson bobbing was there, but Lawson went down once again.
Well, I got such a good perspective from up there in the chopper. I could see the back part of the track that I hadn't seen prior to that. And I tell you what, it's so rough, the wood section over the other side. And that is where Todd Waters is making up so much time. He's just keeping that back wheel on the ground, keeping that front wheel nice and light, but it's driving the whole way through.
Well, here's our local rider of Kirk Gibbs, bike 56, is in fourth place, just coming over the finish line up that very rough straight and stays on that outside line. It's a little bit risky being out there. There's a lot of choppy bumps that can put you out of shape very quickly indeed, but he's now starting to open up that gap over Matty Ryan on the 153 machine. Ryan doing very well to stay up there, and it looks like Kirk Gibbs might have pulled all his tear-offs in one go. They are flying off the side of his helmet, so too bad for him if he gets up to some lap traffic.
As you said, Hammy, Todd Waters has been so impressive. I got to watch the first couple of laps from up there in the chopper, and it was so good from a bird's eye point of view to watch the lines coming together. Todd Waters' corner speed is just phenomenal, and
Sorry about that, folks. We just went offline again for a moment.
So Todd Waters continues to lead and doing a great job on the KTM. gap over Brendan Harrison.
It's been a great ride by these guys. They've really impressed me. You know, they've always been up there this year, all the other rounds, but they've never seemed to have quite the pace that Brendan Harrison has had to run up at the front of the field. But today, clearly, it's a completely different story. Todd Waters especially has some awesome speed out there. I'd like to see his lap times to see what he was comparing against the other riders, but he's got great speed. I'm sure he could be up there in the pro lights fast. Well, Leo, just checked out our times. Would you believe that our riders in the lead, their best time is a 1:53? Now, did we not say that's where Darryl Hurley and all these other riders were only a few laps, basically 5 laps ago, in the same race in the Pro Opens?
It's a great job from these guys, and it's a true testament to our race leader, Todd Waters, who clearly is on his A game today, without a doubt.
Well, it's not just Todd Waters, also in...
Right, as our boys are coming around again, the gap looks very similar between first and second. Todd Waters back to Dean Ferris, but the gap is growing between Ferris and Brendan Harrison.
A long way back behind them, and it is quite a long way back, at least 15 seconds, I would think. Back to Kirk Gibbs on the Yamaha. We had Joey Ringwood up there a little earlier as well, but it looks like Joey Ringwood may... I know he's back there a little bit further, so Matty Ryan is in behind them. Then Lawson bobbing on the Suzuki, once again having to make up all that ground after an early mistake.
Matt Ryan very close to the edge of the circuit as he lands down the back of the finish line tabletop here. And very close to having a little bit of a crash, but he keeps it on 2 wheels.
Now just having a look around the track for our leaders once again. Only about 5 minutes left now in this race to go. Most of our front runners, the top 3, definitely have settled themselves into positions. I'm sure they're just going to be happy to finish out the race in the position they are. Here's our leader now, coming around to the finish line once again, Todd Waters, the KTM rider. And Dean Ferris has made up a big amount of ground that lap. Maybe a few lap riders playing in that equation once again. But Waters now has really lost a lot of ground to Dean Ferris.
That's right, Dean Ferris is on a charge, and just a few weeks ago, Hammy, Dean Ferris was the only rider to beat Daniel Reardon in one of the Queensland rounds. Now, I know it was in the pro lights, and Reardon did have a little bit of drama, but, you know, for someone like Dean Ferris, who clearly is so young, so much ahead of him as far as career time goes, to do something like that, it's got to be a feather in his cap for sure. And as you said, he's starting to chip away at the lead now of Todd Waters, and we still have got just under 5 minutes to go.
Here comes Lawson bobbing now around Matty Ryan, so he's moved up one place and once again Bobbing doing what he can to salvage some points after all these bad luck a lot of the times for Lawson Bobbing. He really, he does get the raw end of the deal sometimes, but, you know, he's got to work on that, as we've mentioned plenty of times before. Has moved himself up into 5th place now. And he's throwing the goggles off at the moment too.
Obviously, we've got young Matt Hare from the Mafra Sale region in Victoria, number 25 up there in 8th place, so a top 10 ride for him at the moment. Andrew Reardon, the younger brother of Daniel, up there in top 10 doing a good job also. So Kirk Gibbs, as you mentioned, 4th placing at the moment. We would have expected a little bit more from him, but Hammy, do you think quite possibly the big massive crash he had in qualifying this morning might be taking its toll on Kirk Gibbs.
There could be a good chance of that. He could have definitely been playing a big part of it. As we look back to our leaders, and there has been a big shake-up at the moment with these lap riders coming into play. There's only about a second and a half between first and second right now. Dean Ferris has moved himself up within striking distance of Todd Waters after some lap riders getting very sideways up that straight. These guys are really pushing it. I would say we're going to be close to getting the last lap board out the next time around. There might be 2 laps left yet. We'll have to wait and see, but look at Todd Waters. I wonder if Waters realises that Dean Ferris is so close.
Well, his mechanics should be letting him know, you would certainly think, but it sort of happened pretty quick over about a 2-lap period, so he could be forgiven for not really knowing. But when you've got a lead like that, you do have to keep checking on what's going on in second place. You can't just drop the ball.
Well, I only mentioned it because these few corners just here in front of him almost look like he was just taking it easy, as if he didn't realise that he was so close. As they go down into our blind spot over the back once again, there is a couple of lap riders there to contend with. Dean Ferris has been held up just a little bit, but has managed to get around. So head down to our whoop section now. We go back a bit further. Gibbs is still running in 4th place. Lawson bobbing in 5th and has cleared out from Matty Ryan. Once again, just shows how fast Lawson bobbing can be. But really needs to get a start under his belt. There's Andrew Reardon going across the finish line on the Kawasaki. Then Matt Hare, I think it was. No, Paul Humberson behind him.
And the South Australian rider, Ivan Long, coming through number 109 on the Honda machine up over the finish line, tabletop. Such a hard little trier. He gives it everything he's got all the time.
It's going to be close lead for the last lap board. There's only 30 seconds left in this race.
Wow, they've got 2 laps left then. So easy.
More time then for Dean Ferris to do something, and he's very fast through this section. Closes right in once again. I would say Todd Waters probably would have been expecting to see the last lap board that time around, but not to be. He's going to have to push it for another 2 laps and really push it indeed if he wants to stay in front of Dean Ferris.
Well, I think without a doubt now Todd Waters knows, he realises that Dean Ferris is behind him, so it'll be interesting to see if he can react. And in fact, I think it's just about a half a second there in those 2 corners, so quite possibly he didn't realise that Dean Ferris was there. Who knows, but we're going to know at the end of this lap.
Well, Harrison still holds down 3rd place, as we suspected he would. There's Kirk Gibbs coming over the finish line now in 4th on bike 56, the Yamaha rider. After that big crash in the practice, the time qualifying, didn't even get to set down a time in the time qualifying, so he would have had terrible teams each race as they went out there too, so maybe that also played into it a little bit. Didn't get the good position on the gate and got a bad start as a result.
Well, definitely the latter stages here of the event. We're 21 minutes in now, and we still haven't seen the last lap board, and that's because the boys just missed out on getting the last lap board, the last lap through. So this will be a very long race for these guys. By the time some of our midfield riders get the checkered flag, we're going to be looking at well past the 25-minute mark.
Well, have a look at our leaders as they come back around. They will receive the last lap board this time. Dean Ferris is very close this time. This is where he's fast. There's only about half a second now in between these two. It's going to go down to this last lap. Who doesn't make a mistake? Waters still holds the advantage over Ferris as they come around. 1 lap to go for these guys now. Keep your eye on them for this last lap. It's going to be very interesting. There's a lot of lap riders too in front of them that they are about to encounter as they go past the Suzuki part of the track.
Alright, well, as you can see, we can throw a blanket over these guys, but that seems to be Todd Waters' fast section of the track. He has pulled out at pretty much a full second again over Dean Ferris, but it's the backside of the circuit. That's where we see Ferris catch back up, and if we're going to see a pass, it will be in that last quarter of this lap.
Well, he has a lot of work ahead of him if he wants to do it. Waters has found another gear. He is just streaming away at the moment. Maybe he's just been waiting for that last lap, saving his energy till then to make that one final dive.
Right, well, our leaders make their way off the backside of the circuit, out of our sight. They will go down, do that big right-hander, and then make their way back through the rough, wooded-out section before they'll come back over the big tabletop and back into sight. Massive overjump there from Ivan Long, just lands on the flat of that tabletop. It's the first person I've seen that do that all day. And just as we say that, Todd Waters has now a commanding lead over Dean Ferris, Danny Ham.
Yeah, he is going to go all the way to the end. Waters has really showed his dominance this time around. And he's pulled out a second at least, a second and a half maybe, just in this last lap alone. Maybe he was just playing with him, saying, hurry up, catch me up if you can. But he's definitely shown him the way for the rest. He's only got 2 corners now to go before he greets the checkered flag. And a great rise once again.
Right, 1 corner to go, and he comes through to take a double victory on the day, and a sensational job for Todd Waters. And I tell you what, Ross McWaters will be very happy with Todd. That was an awesome job representing KTM very well. Second place, Dean Ferris, and correct me if I'm wrong, girls, but I think a third and a second on the day will get him